everyone, it's Margaret with Creative Stamping with Margaret. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm sharing with you the pocket card, and that is from the February 2025 card class. And the card class this month, the month of February, we are using the Mixed Media Product Suite. That is an online exclusive product suite. You'll find a link in the description of this video to take you to the Stampin' Up site so that you can look at all the products in this suite, as these products are not listed in any catalog that Stampin' Up, any printed catalog that Stampin' Up has. So for this particular card, I'm really showcasing that Mixed Media Designer Series paper. I mean, it is just a gorgeous paper. You have the black and white prints, then you have some colorful splatter prints, and then with the flowers, it's just gorgeous. And it's been a very popular item. The stamp set, the product suite actually has two stamp sets with dies, so two stamp bundles. And for this particular card, we're using the mixed labels, and we're using the Just a Note stamp. And then for the envelope and for the interior of our little note card, I did use the little flower stamp. And then, of course, you're going to want to pull these two dies from the Mixed Labels die set to cut those shapes. The ink we're using is Memento Black, and then I have embellished this with the little iridescent pearl basic jewels, as well as Petal Pink, the Petal Pink ribbon. That comes in a 2-pack of the Petal Pink and white. I believe that's still current. I did not check, but if not, I'll make a note in the description when I list all of the measurements and all of the materials that are used for creating this pocket card. If you ordered a kit to go, you will be receiving all of the pre-cut papers. You'll just need to do your own stamping and then provide your adhesives to assemble the card. Now, for my sample that I'm going to make, I'm going to use another of the Designer Series paper prints. So we have a single piece of Petal Pink. That's our base that we will be putting our little note card in. I just think these pocket cards are so cute. Then we will have a layering panel. Actually, I'm gonna switch that up. I'm gonna pull this one back out because I'm using black as the other color there. So let me just pull that to the side. Then we have two pieces of Designer Series paper. Actually 3 pieces, because we're going to have the little diagonal piece, and I'm going to show how we go about preparing that here in just a moment. But this piece of Designer Series paper that I'm going to use for this card it's a 3" by 8" that we've scored at 4. Then the panel that I'm going to use, I have picked the Designer Series paper that is the reverse of the pattern, so that we'll be using that. And then, of course, you'll need a scrap of black, or at least that's what I'm using. I'm using the scrap, which is what I've used to die cut the labels, and then a small basic white piece for the Stampin' the sentiment, and then we have our white panel that will go inside just to put a little note. And then of course we have our basic black piece here that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I will provide all of the dimensions in the description of this video. That's why I've not gone over them in a lot of detail. But I do want to show you how to go about creating a diagonal. So basically, we're going to pull in a square piece, and the panel, for this panel, this is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. So to get it on the, to cut it on the diagonal, you will do the same thing for the diagonal piece for your designer series paper. It is a little bit smaller. I have those dimensions listed in the description, just so you know. But I do want to point out, pay attention if you're using a directional piece, as I did here, so that you rotate it so that it's going the same as the direction of the base piece that you're using. So I'm just lining up the 2 points of that square that I have turned on a diagonal, and I've got that just so that I can cut right down. So you will have an extra piece, so I suggest you prep the materials to make 2 cards, because you'll have the extra diagonals that you can put the card together. And as you will see, this card comes together very quickly. So the first thing I want to do is take and add adhesive to the back of my designer series paper and attach it to my card base. Since this is a pocket card, there's no folded piece that's the size. This is actually 1/4 of an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 sheet. So you can get 4 of these pocket cards out of one. Next, I'm going to add my designer series paper to my diagonal triangle piece. And then we're going to attach the pocket to the front of our card. But I want to point out, you want to keep this side open, so you only want to put adhesive right along these 2 edges where it creates a 90-degree angle there. So we just put a little bit of adhesive there, and then we'll align that on the side, the top, along the bottom edges. And see, now we have our pocket. So I'm going to set this to the side. We'll let that dry while we finish the rest of the card. So next, let's add our panel that is actually the designer series paper. That's our little note card to our basic black panel. You could also use, I decided to use the black because I wanted contrasting colors, but obviously you could use any color that you prefer. We'll pull in our little stamp here, and I'm just using the Memento Black. And if you want, you can stamp the front of your envelope. I'm going to do that while I have the ink out and the stamp. And I'm doing 3. If you wanted, you could also pull out your stamping blends and color that, but because I've got so much black and white, I decided to keep that as such. And then of course I have my little scrap that I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And then I will take and use the die to die cut that, as well as the die to die cut the base that I'm going to layer that on. But to save time, I have already prepared that. This is dry enough now that this can slip in here. And I'm going to pull in my dimensionals. I'm going to put the small label. I'm going to use dimensionals to add that to our base, the larger black label. Oh, and of course I have ink on my fingers, so I messed that label up, but I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway. I might change it out a little bit later. Or let's see if I can erase that. Sometimes if I work quickly, I can erase that with one of the mono erasers. That will help. Let me make sure I have no more ink on my fingers. Let me just wipe these. So now when we go to attach this larger label, just like when we attached our pocket, we want to do the same here. We do not want to put adhesive all over. If you do, you'll have to place it here. So we'll just set it to the side. Now one thing, actually, I'm going to pull this back off because I see I forgot to add the ribbon. So you're going to have, I'm pulling in the ribbon because you'll notice I layered that ribbon underneath. And you roughly need about a 6-inch piece. And we're just going to crisscross that. Let me grab my adhesive here to put some down. Let me replace this dimensional since I tore that some. So there. And we can just sort of pull and adjust those and trim that because that is going to be a little long. I'd rather have it a little long than too short. Now, back to what I was saying earlier, is as we attach this label, we're going to only want to put adhesive on 1/2 of it. So I'm just going to add my adhesive, and I'm putting, as you notice, I'm putting quite a bit of adhesive on that half, just to hold that in place. and it is, and see, it is left open there, so that worked perfect. Now to pull in our little embellishments. You know that little spot there? We're going to cover that with one of these little embellishments. I'm reversing how I placed them earlier. That's the nice thing about, you can always just place these however you would like. So there, we have completed our pocket card featuring the Mixed Media Designer Series paper. Of course, you will want to add your little note card to the inside. Let me just add a little bit of adhesive and go ahead so I have my card completely finished. And I have botched these instructions today, haven't I? Thank goodness it's a simple card. But anyway, we're going to slide this in here. And this is Margaret Knight with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Thanks for watching. And if you have not done so, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Just hit that little subscribe button and like this video. Thank you.